Yo, yo, yo. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the first edition of Spooky Season. Nothing but G takes, man. I hope all y'all are having a great day on this nice, wonderful Friday. And man, I ain't even gonna lie. It's a pretty good day. It's a pretty good day. It's decent. I hope all y'all be safe out there. Have a great time, man. I got work in the morning, so I don't know if I'm gonna be out too long, but I might go catch me a little drink or something like that. But without further ado, we're gonna get right into it, y'all. I wanna start the video off. I went and saw that new Chainsaw Man movie. The Rize adaptation was actually kind of fire, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I read the manga about 2 years ago when that probably came out. So I'd have been waiting on them to kind of like, drop this or, drop the next season. But I banged with the movie, man. The movie was good. The way that she was able to use her powers and, use them throughout her body and, create bombs in different ways and stuff like that. It's really cool to see the adaptation as well as honestly and truly. I feel like that movie had a lot more scrapping than the Demon Slayer movie did, which is kind of crazy. Who would have thought that this movie would have had more scrapping than that Demon Slayer Infinity arc, But not to really compare, because I think both movies did pretty good this year. I really just enjoyed how they did the animation, man. It was really good, looked really good. I think she was a really good villain. It's honestly crazy that every girl that this man Denji ends up getting with, she ends up trying to kill that man. Like, imagine that's a crazy life to live, man. You had one chick that you wanted, she died. Another chick wanted you. Something happened. If you read the mark, well, I'm not gonna keep going. But anyways, every girl that man Denji end up trying to get with be trying to kill that man or be having some underneath vendetta against bro. Um, Honestly, I just can't wait to see what they put out next for season 3. If they're gonna drop a movie, I can't wait to see what happens. I don't, y'all. I tried to iron my outfit. I'm so hurt. I'm gonna have to wear a red shirt under this, but it's like, dang, man. I'm trying to spruce the outfit up. Can't even spruce the outfit up, man. I just gotta wear it the way it is. It is what it is, man. But yeah, man. Chainsaw Man, I give it a 9 out of 10. I definitely think that if I had I don't really have any critiques. I think both anime movies this year did really good so far. I don't know what else is gonna come out this year. I don't think there is. I think there's probably gonna be something next year in store for us. But I definitely think that if you have some time, and if you enjoy anime, if you want to see some scrapping, I'm talking about from beginning to end kind of deal. That's a good one to go watch. Um, the ending is kind of crazy. I still think that the ending is really kind of messed up. Spoilers, if because I'm gonna just say this one thing. Spoilers. Um, I always felt like it was just crazy how Makimo was the one and the angel was the one to kind of, in that hole, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you really go in depth into the anime, like she was working the entire time and we just didn't even know it. You know what I mean? Working, just in the shadows. We was confused. And then she popped out and showed us who she really is. But yeah, definitely 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and flip on over to our sports, and we're gonna start with our NFL. Yesterday, I went with the Ravens. I did make a video yesterday, but it messed up, so I was just like, I'm gonna just redo it. But I'm going with the Ravens. I went with the Ravens yesterday. With the Falcons and the Patriots, I'm going with the Patriots. I'm not wasting my time with the Falcons no more when it come down to until they figure out what they got going on with the office. You can't figure out what's going on the field because it's clear as day that Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson, all of them. Every last one of them. If you want to bring back Raheem, he better hire somebody that know how to scheme. And that's a bar. A bar. Chargers versus the Titans. I got the Chargers. I ain't really, Justin Herbert. I don't think you gonna live up to expectations. And that's sad to say. Excuse me. That's sad to say, but it's like you disappear. I don't want no disappearing quarter. I don't want no top tier disappearing quarterback. Like, no, go on somewhere because that's even more disappointing. Just give me the B tier. Give me the B tier. Let's be done with it. You know what I'm saying? On everything. I'm going with the Chargers. Bears versus the Bengals. I'm going with the Bengals. It ain't like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins hurt and Joe Flacco out there, making it seem like he 28 or something like that out there. I definitely think that it's going to be a close, decent game, but with the Bengals being at home, they showed you what they look like against Aaron Rodgers, even though people be like, Aaron Rodgers ain't who he was, blah, blah. I don't care what you say. Aaron Rodgers is still doing it up over there. It wasn't his fault why they lost. It wasn't his fault. So, the Colts versus the Steelers. I am going to go with the Colts on this one because I just think that they have the best team in the league at the moment. Daniel Jones is doing his thing, which is kind of crazy. I still think that A-Rod and them boys going, fix it, get back on track. But I think that's going to be a hard win. But if they do win, it shows us something about that team. 49ers versus the Giants, the most injured team in the freaking league got some of the best wins in the league. And honestly and truly is still in that A-tier list of, B-tier list, high B-tier of being one of the better teams in the league. They showing you that. 5-3, 49ers. So as long as them old men can get out there and, give them a couple plays, I feel like they have enough pieces to kind of put some things together. So I'm going with the 49ers on that one. With Cam Scottaboo, being hurt, I think that's going to really take away pretty much all of Jackson Dart's real dynamic playmakers because Scottaboo was energy. You know what I mean? And when he's on the field, you could tell that it was a difference. Broncos versus the Texans. I'm going with the Broncos. Bo Nix out there showing y'all that he's ready to step up, and I'm ready to see what he's going to look like, man. I really hate what the Texans have done with C.J. Stroud. You butchered that man's offensive line, and honestly, it's just people want to be like, oh, the Texans are bad. The Texans are trash. Do you see what this man is having to throw with? Nick Chubb having an off year. He got split carries and stuff like that. He ain't getting the same production that he was getting, guys. Come on now. They need to do something about that. That's ridiculous. That offensive line is terrible. Terrible. Vikings versus the Lions. I'm going with the Lions. They are at home. I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is finna go crazy. My fault. Panthers versus the Packers. I'm going with the Packers. I definitely think it's going to be an interesting game, but I can see it getting a little out of hand towards the fourth quarter. If Bryce is playing, then I think they have a chance. If he's not playing, then meh. Jaguars versus the Raiders. I'm going with the Jaguars. I'm still waiting on the Raiders to make that trade. Because at the end of the day, it's quite sad to see my top tier tight end being absolutely slung through the mud with these piss poor quarterbacks that they keep trying to give him, bro. Can we give Brock Bowers a quarterback, please, man? So he can ball out like he's supposed to. Saints versus the Rams. I'm going with the Rams. I hope that the Saints still take the best player available and not a quarterback. I hope they still continue to develop Spencer Rattler. He's blatantly showed us that he can be a top tier quarterback in this league, and I don't necessarily think it's his fault why they're losing. But I am going with the Rams. That boy Matt Stafford is still Matt Stafford. A dog. Oh, doggy. Doggy dog. Um, Chiefs versus the Bills. I'm going with the Chiefs, but I will say this is a must-win game for Josh Allen. So I would rather Josh Allen a lot. I'm gonna go with the Bills strictly because of James Cook. But outside of that, this is a must-win game for Josh Allen if he's gonna solidify himself as probably the best quarterback in the league at the moment. So this is honestly just gonna show us what's real and what's not. Shoot, the freaking Chiefs were 0-3 in the beginning of the year. They're 5-3 right now. Keep letting Patrick Mahomes get on this run. If you don't stop him right now, it's over for you, bro. I don't see you beating him in the playoffs. Seahawks versus the Commanders. No Jaden Daniels, no win. Seahawks all day, baby. And then I got the Cowboys versus the Cardinals. I think that's going to be a really good game. But I definitely think that Dak is having one of his better years, probably almost an MVP year. If he wasn't on the Cowboys, if he was on a different team, he'd be in the race for sure. But I definitely think that's going to be a really good game. I'm going with the Cowboys, but I can see the Cardinals making it a tough match. But I definitely think the Cowboys will pull that off towards the end. All right, guys, and we're going to shift on over to NCAA. Man, NCAA has been getting real good this year, man. We got Memphis in the top 25. Memphis is back. FSU lost. I don't know. I can't remember who they lost to last week, but that kind of disappointed me because who would have thought y'all would have lost to them? And y'all literally had the keys at that point. I definitely think that the quarterback is probably going to come back for another year, which I do think that will be good for the school and for him. But that's a top tier quarterback they got down there, and if they keep holding on to him the way that we think that he gonna probably stay down there, I think that next year they're gonna definitely be a playoff team for sure. Florida versus Georgia. I got Georgia. I definitely think that Florida's gonna have like some hidden things that we're not gonna really see or notice or really look at first. But I feel like once we get past all the the hoopla, I think it's gonna be a really one-sided game towards the end of the game. I think if Georgia can wear them out, like how they pretty much doing every team, if they can wear them out, I feel like Georgia can pull out late wins. I think that's just our identity at this point. We're not a beginning type team. We're a finishing team. So if as long as they're not getting routed for 21 points in the first quarter, I feel like they'll be all right. But it's Florida at that, so I don't necessarily. I'm not saying that Florida is going to do that, but I'm just talking about any team. But yeah, it's sad to see. Not really sad, but I wonder what's going to end up happening with the team, especially because Billy Napier is not there. Penn State versus Ohio State. I got Ohio State. Nothing to really talk about there. James Franklin, he had things rolling until he didn't, and I think it was just about that time for him to go. I wonder where he's going to end up at. I think he's probably going to be the one to end up at LSU, if I'm just being honest. He's going to be the one to end up at LSU or Florida. Vanderbilt versus Texas. I'm going with Vanderbilt. Texas ain't really showing me nothing this year. Arch ain't showing me nothing. Scat ain't showing me nothing. That defense is good, but that offensive line is garbage. Hard garbage. Hot garbage. Excuse me. Till they fix that, till they get those issues reconciled, I feel like Texas is going to be very stagnant. Very stagnant. But Vanderbilt has been looking really good. Diego, I think he honestly and truly need to be in the run for Heisman at this point, the way he pulling this team on his back. But I definitely think that Vanderbilt can definitely get them a away win, especially with a Texas team that ain't looking as dominant as they did last year. Miami versus SMU. I'm going with Miami. I think they'll have them a nice bounce back game. I think that this will show us if they are truly a playoff contender or if they are a pretender, because this is an away game and it's a team that's actually really good in the ACC. So this is gonna show us if they are who they say they are. I can't wait to see it. West Virginia versus Houston. I'm going with Houston. I don't really know much about Houston, but I've been seeing and have heard that they are playing some good ball. Louisville versus Virginia Tech. I'm going with Louisville. They got one of the better wins in the country, in my opinion, and they did it away. So yeah, definitely one of the better wins in the country. Indiana versus Maryland. I'm going with Indiana. I definitely think that they're probably the third best team in the country at the moment, behind Ohio State and Texas A&M. I definitely think that quarterback is going to leave. If he does leave, I definitely think he's most likely going to be the first overall pick this year too. Notre Dame versus Boston College. Notre Dame, but Boston College. Texas Tech versus Kansas State. I'm going with Texas Tech. Like I said, I feel like they kind of butchered Texas Tech, dropping them that low, and then again they dropped them below Notre Dame, who has not beaten a soul. So, you're talking about a team who, they lost to an unranked team, but you're talking about a team who lost to two ranked teams, and I think one of those ranked teams was one of those ranked games at their house that they lost. So, I definitely feel like Texas Tech is going to put everything back together, and they're going to be back on route to making it to the playoffs this year, which I definitely think that's going to be a very good mix-up. Not the same teams just being in the playoffs every year. Virginia versus Cal. I got Virginia. Virginia been looking good this year. Stevie and them boys, they've been out there balling. Y'all look good out there, man. Keep going. If they mess around and continue to win out, I don't think they will have to play in the ACC championship. I think if they lose to Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech and them are high, I think that they will give them a leeway and probably let them in. But they have to both be high. Both be high. South Carolina versus Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss. It's crazy how Lane Kiffin is the main head coach that everybody is kind of looking at to see what he's gonna do at the moment. But if he keeps rolling, I definitely think that Ole Miss ain't finna let him go. Honestly and truly, he done been almost a playoff, contending head coach for the past 3-4 years. So you take him to LSU, I definitely think he'll get you one. Purdue versus Miami. Purdue versus Michigan. I'm going with Michigan. Georgia Tech versus NC State. I really hate that KC really left them like that, NC State, because you can really see the downfall and how they look this year. The quarterback really needed him, and by him I mean KC. I think that if he would have stayed on that team, that team would have been a playoff team. But with that being said, it is what it is. And I think that Georgia Tech is having a really good year this year. So I can't wait to see what they end up looking like. And that Georgia versus Georgia Tech game is getting spicier and spicier by the day. I'm going Georgia Tech. Oklahoma versus Tennessee. I'm going Tennessee. It's at home. Oklahoma hasn't won necessarily they haven't gotten a away win that I think is creditable. You know what I mean? And until that happens, then I don't know what they look like on the road. And, I would rather see it first than to try and guess. And they haven't really looked the best on the road. So I'm going with the home team on that one. USC versus Nebraska. I'm going to go with USC, even though they are away. I think that would be a comeback game for them. They were trying to make some plays. They were trying to do some things. But, they ended up hurting themselves more than, helping them win. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to make those plays. And sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, Nebraska is having a really good year this year too, which is actually kind of crazy. And y'all seeing that Nebraska gave that man Matt Rule all that money. They say you're not going nowhere, nowhere. We're not playing these games. Cincinnati versus Utah. I really hate that Utah is getting like all these losses like in the middle of the season like this because it's hurting them real bad. But at the same time, I understand. Cincinnati is having a great year this year. The quarterback transferred over, the running back transferred over. Both of them are looking really good this year. And that defense is probably one of the better defenses in the country. I definitely think that they're a sleeper team for the playoffs this year, especially if they're able to probably make it third into the division, depending on how the other top two seeds end up being. One of them might get bumped out by the end of the year, and then they might end up bumping in because of that. But I got Cincinnati on that one, man. Those are my picks, NFL and college. And I hope y'all like my mini synopsis, mini review of the Chainsaw Man movie that just came out. Hope y'all go and watch it. I appreciate y'all for coming through, listening. And I hope everybody is safe out there today. Drink responsibly and drive safe. Drive safe for sure. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope y'all have a great day. Number G takes. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.